Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to ChechMe. Once again, we're popping off with some NFL free agency. There's some other things in the news as well, too, with some banter between players, Sauce Gardner, Miko Harmon. We also want to talk about Aaron Rodgers running as a vice president, if if that's going to happen. But I want to first start off with Russell Wilson and signing a one-year deal with the Steelers. I really think that's a great deal for both parties. I think it's something Russell Wilson can ideally need at this point in time in his career, just to work things out when it comes to the deal. So essentially, he signed a $1.2 million veterans deal with the Steelers. So essentially, a one-year audition. If he's doing well or trending well this year, you extend him. And I think that one big missing piece that we saw from the Steelers this year was mainly just the quarterback position. Inconsistent play with the quarterback position. So this helps them out. A good revitalization for Russell Wilson as well, too. Now, he still will get paid the $37.8 million on his previous contract from the Broncos, because the Broncos still have to pay him out on that since it was guaranteed money. But he will play on that $1.2 million one-year contract with the Steelers as he goes into this year. Now, I think it's important that when looking at the dynamic of Russell Wilson, we see that Russell Wilson over the years, this goes back to the Seattle Seahawks and what happened in the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson is a guy that came to the league and got superstar status very quickly. And he continued to live out that superstar status mainly because the Russell Wilson's lifestyle. Russell Wilson's lifestyle is something that's polarized and by mainstream society of somebody they want to market. Russell Wilson is a guy that really doesn't ruffle feathers, doesn't really create any controversy. He's a guy that's marketable to every day and everyone in culture. So Russell Wilson has had that superstar status last throughout the longevity of his career. What happened in Seattle kind of exposed, and I saw it before everyone else did. I saw it, and it exposed who Russell Wilson was for himself. So essentially in the Super Bowl, Russell Wilson threw a pick. Everyone blamed Pete Carroll. I think it was a great call. The situation. I have a whole other video on that if you want to check it out. But I think it was a great call in the Super Bowl. But here's why Russell Wilson essentially got. Here's why Russell Wilson got in the situation he was in, and why Russell Wilson is kind of disliked between a lot of players. When he threw that Super Bowl, when he threw that interception in the Super Bowl, Pete Carroll took the blame for the bad call. But essentially, it was a good call, but it was a bad throw. Russell Wilson, instead of throwing the ball low and inside the goal line, threw it high and outside where a defensive player can make a play. That's horrible ball placement for a quarterback. But what happened after that? Pete Carroll then stuck up for Russell Wilson for a long period of time and took the blame for that bad call. And we see over the years, many teams throw the ball to the goal line towards the end of the game, mainly because making usage of best of the time. So then there are other stories that came out as far as Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman, how he handled himself in Seattle, not talking to people, not even be able to have Marshawn Lynch call his number, calling him on a blocked number, having his own office set up. And we saw some of those same things in Denver, where Sean Payton was like, "Hey, we're not having it." Do I think it gave Russell Wilson a bad name? No. I mean, do I think it gave Russell Wilson a bad name? I think he owned this name that he's had, and it's just coming to light. So we see a lot of these team camaraderie issues where Russell Wilson was somewhat protected when he was in Seattle. He wasn't protected in Denver, and then now he's going to a coach that's not going to have any of that. Russell Wilson has played a game where he doesn't. You're not seeing the real side of Russell Wilson, and what I mean by that is, well, you're seeing the real side of Russell Wilson, but there are tendencies that he has and there are character traits that make him dislikable from his demeanor. He should take responsibility outwardly, more than Pete Carroll did for that interception pass. That interception was not on Pete Carroll. The interception was on Russell Wilson. He threw the pick. He never vocally took responsibility for it. What Russell Wilson said, I need to stop saying his whole name, but what Wilson said was, what Russell Wilson said was, Malcolm Butler made a great play. No, you made a bad throw. Russell Wilson made a bad throw, and that's why that team was in position. The Patriots won a Super Bowl that nobody wanted them to win. So the taking responsibility, which we kind of saw in Denver a little bit, taking responsibility is something that he's gonna have to do more often, not just in the press stands, but also to his team, and he has to do it more often and more consistently. It's something he hasn't done. I think that's going to change with Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin is not going to allow that to kind of take place. This is going to be that environment that Mike Tomlin has. Is yes, he's a player's coach. At the same time, he's a no nonsense guy. I think that the one-on-one conversations that Russell Wilson can have and is going to have will help change his career. From this perspective, they're both Christians, so having a coach that is specifically believes in the same thing that you believe in, went through some trials and tribulations that are kind of like yours, and having those one-on-one conversations can help Russell Wilson be not only be a better person, but a Christian, but also a better leader. And Russell Wilson, I think he's led from one way, but he's never led from away from Mike Tomlin's style of leading, and I think that's very important. I do think that Mike Tomlin will lean on him, not just on his play, but also as being a leader in the locker room, but as well as be there to help Russell Wilson help hold Russell Wilson accountable. So I think it's great that Russell Wilson's going to the Steelers. I think that there's a lot they can trade off with this mutual benefit between the Steelers and Russell Wilson. I think this will help Russell Wilson grow as a leader and start taking accountability and responsibility for some of his actions, as well as learn how to lead. So I like the pickup for the Steelers. Speaking of the Steelers also are trading Deontay Johnson for Dante Johnson, as well as a pick swap in this offseason. I think it's going to be finalized. It reported by Adam Schefter, so it should be finalized real quick soon. I think it's a 7th-round pick, and then they're getting a 6th-round pick for the cornerback. So the Steelers are getting a 6th-round pick in Dante Johnson, and then the Panthers are getting Deontay Johnson as well as a 7th-round pick. Now, the thing that's pretty cool about it is, so you get the front end of the pick, and then they get the back end of the pick, so it's pretty much a similar pick. The thing about it is this: Deontay Johnson never evolved into that number one receiver the Steelers thought he was going to be. They thought it was Chase Claypool. They thought it was Deontay Johnson. The jury's still out on Pickens to see if he's that number one guy. But Deontay Johnson never evolved into that number one guy. And with the inconsistency of catching the passes, as well as some of the things he says not getting balls thrown his way, kind of drifted the Steelers away to make this trade happen. Deontay Johnson, I think, is an exceptional receiver. Do I think he's a certified 1? I don't think so. I think that we thought him as a 1, but he's really a good, solid 2, and he can be a 2 somewhere and really, or get paired with another solid 2 and make noise and make waves. So he never evolved into that solid 2 we thought he was. Steelers have been looking for a cornerback. And then I think this is something that, with the releasing Patrick Peterson, getting a guy like Dante Johnson, who's pretty much battled injuries over the last couple of years, but getting a guy like him, a speed guy, that may be able to fit into their scheme, that can cover, go alongside Joey Porter Jr. to get some good coverage snaps. So even though Deontay Johnson's leaving, he's on his final year of his contract, and it comes with a $10 million cap hit to the Panthers, leaving $5.8 million of dead cap in Pittsburgh. So he is leaving a money trail where he's going. I think Deontay Johnson, wherever he goes in, he'll nestle in very well. But leaving Carolina, Johnson leaving Carolina, pretty much J.C. Horn, who's about injuries, is coming back. I think there's something they want to add on the other side of him. They're looking for another quarterback to go on the other side, because Deontay Johnson really hasn't played to the level of his draft pick status personally that we've seen, as well as him battling injuries and the inconsistency of getting beat, as well as getting lost sometimes in zone coverage. So we'll see how that plays out. But I like the trade. I think it's a good even swap for the guys. So now, Sauce Gardner and Mecole Hardman have been having a little bit of banter. It seems like the Pivot Podcast is creating a lot of banter between the players, a little talk back between the players. So basically, Mecole Miko Harmon went on the Pivot podcast and he talked about the criticism of the Jets team, the culture, etc. in his interview. Sauce Gardner didn't like that. So Sauce Gardner then went on and said that Harmon never earned his stripes. Now, Gardner went on to say, if you really know what it takes to win, he said if you really know what it takes to win, you're going to make sure you let the team know. The reason he couldn't do that is because he never earned his stripes. He came into the facility and thought he had made it for him. So coming from this, hey, I'm the guy that from the Chiefs, big punt return, etc. Now I'm going to Jets, and you guys gotta listen to me, right? That MO didn't work well with the Jets and their culture. So he said, if Sauce went on to say, if you know what it takes to win, you're going to Kenya. Okay, he's downstairs. Okay, Kenya. Thank you. He says if you know what it takes to win, you're not going to go to practice and drop punts and then have excuses to why you're dropping them. You're not going to go into special teams meeting and get cussed out by the special teams coordinator. There's just certain things you're not going to happen if you truly know what it takes to win. So basically, the way Miko Harmon, from what Sauce was saying, was not saying he had what it takes to win. So when it comes down to it, here's the deal. Like, when you go to another team, you do have to kind of establish your roots. There's some guys that go to different teams and they have that type of status where, hey, you can do some of the things that you normally do without gravitating to what the team is doing as holistically. The Jets were building. So I don't know if that's that's how Miko Harmon was operating, or that's his MO, whatever it is. I'm not sure. But what I will say is this. Miko Harmon, there has to be there's been consistency with it. Whatever happened. But the Jets can't put that on Miko Harmon, and then as well as Sauce Gardner can't put that on Miko. Miko Harmon can't say the Jets culture was just fun. They were trying to figure things out, and yes, we saw what happened. What happened with the Jets when Aaron Rodgers Aaron Rodgers went down, right? We saw what happened. The franchise just scrambled. They had everything squared away and it scrambled. But that's on the Jets. That's on the Jets. That's them just trying to figure things out. So where I think both sides are right, this playful banter can just be brushed over. So it doesn't mean anything. I don't know if it's playful, but it's banter. Usually guys say, if you see me, you know what's up. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. A lot of guys these days are all talk. So interesting news coming out of, I don't know if you want to say New York or whatever. New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers is on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s short list to be his running mate on an independent president ticket in November. So we see Robert F. Kennedy is John F. Kennedy's nephew, who was Democratic up until 2023 during the vaccine. He's a well-known, outspoken anti-vaxxer. Of course, is aligned with Aaron Rodgers and who he is. Rodgers has been talking with Kennedy pretty continuously for the past month, according to Kennedy. It's unclear whether he's been formally offered the position through time, but Don says they both have welcomed the overture, so basically open to the idea. So, what would I think if I see Aaron Rodgers on a presidential ticket for the independent party in the fall when this man is playing football? I don't know what to think. But Aaron Rodgers, I think he's a great, exceptional quarterback. I think he's confused, and there's a lot of things he needs to work out in life. But apparently, the domain name KennedyRodgers.com was registered last week using a GoDaddy host. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers is due to make $35 million in salary and bonuses this season, all of it guaranteed. So no matter what, $35 million. The Jets franchise is no longer, is no stranger to presidential politics. Owner Willie Johnson serves as a former presidential. So basically, the owner, yes, this is why the franchise has been abysmal. The owner, Woody Johnson, was a special advisor to the UK from 2017 to 2021 for Trump, and he was seen at a Trump rally, Republican primary in South Carolina. the if we thought that the Jets are dysfunctional now, back then they're a lot more dysfunctional now. Your owner is so. Look at the Jets dynamic. All right, so this is the Jets dynamic here, right? And I just want to check one thing as well too. When we talk about the Jets dysfunction, and I just want to confirm this because about Robert Salah, and I do think that he's Muslim as well. His wife speaks Arabic. He's Lebanese descent. First Muslim head coach. So if we look, I just want to listen to how dysfunctional the Jets are. You have an owner who is a Republican Trump supporter. You have a quarterback who is an independent anti-vaxxer. You have a backup quarterback who is a liberal social activist, a social and equality activist in Tyrod Taylor, and you have a Muslim head coach. I don't want to say it's dysfunctional, but if they make this work, if the Jets make this work and even make it to the playoffs, this will be the biggest accomplishment in football that football has ever seen. Mark my word, if the Jets make the playoffs with the dynamic of leadership they have on this team, this will be the biggest accomplishment in football, hands down. But I just going to say that, Aaron Rodgers running for president is just funny to me. I would say this, and what year was it? What year was it? Harambe, right? Harambe ran for president. Yeah, so here it is. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. We think about this. In 2016, a deceased 17-year-old gorilla, okay, got 11,000 votes on the presidential ticket. Harambe. So if Harambe, a gorilla, can get 11,000 votes, maybe Robert Kennedy Jr. and Aaron Rodgers snag up some votes as well too. I wouldn't be surprised. There's probably a lot of people who are mad at both parties and want to vote independent, and there you have it. You have your pick right there. So I would not be surprised if Harambe, if they got more votes than Harambe. Remember, you can always do a write-in for a presidential ticket. So people rolled in. People literally took the time and voted in Harambe, a gorilla that dragged a 3-year-old across a zoo. Right? Wasn't Harambe's fault. They grabbed the 3-year-old across the zoo. 11,000 people wrote in Harambe for president. Right? So who knows what Aaron Rodgers and Robert F. Kennedy can do. But that's just news coming out the grapevine. I do want to talk about this Nick Saban thing. The last thing I want to harp on. I told people that Nick Saban is going to show his true colors. For Nick Saban to go up there and on Capitol Hill, sit next to Ted Cruz and talk about how the NIL is taking the integrity out the sports. Let's just give a little bit of background as far as what Nick Saban and his background history. I love Nick Saban as a coach. I love what he does. I love him as a coach, and I think that he does an exceptional job of developing players. If you know me, I was an Alabama football fan because of Nick Saban. I denounced my membership to Alabama this year. All right, so I'm no longer an Alabama fan. Call me a bandwagon. Call me what you want. Call it what you want. Only reason I liked Alabama was because of Nick Saban and how he developed and stood by his players. But for him to say the things he stood on for 50 years is gone because of NIL, let's get one thing straight. Ever since NIL, Alabama has had the best recruiting collectively within the past 4 years. They've either been a 1 or 2 in the top recruiting the past 4 years when it comes to 5 and 4-star players. So there was no dent in Nick Saban saying he wasn't landing recruits because he was landing recruits. for him to say that he had trouble with it or he wasn't doing that, he was landing recruits. The name himself is how he would land at recruits. So it wasn't like Nick Saban wasn't losing recruits. Let's be honest. Alabama was paying players before then. And there's been multiple stories from actual people and players that said they received money and or money from boosters or whatever from Alabama. So Nick Saban, now other teams start doing it. He's saying what he stood on. Like let's calm down, Nick Saban. Let's backtrack here real quick. The NIL gives players an opportunity to make money off their name. If you can get paid millions as a coach, right? But the players can't get millions for what they bring into universities. 2/3 of Alabama's endowment came from the football program. 2/3. That means what the school collectively brings in, holistically, 2/3 of Alabama University's funding came from the football program. Yet, when players want to make money off of their name, you get mad? You understand? Football in itself, from these players, they help economies in regional and specific areas and cities. So when a player wants to go make money off his name, it's integrity. Oh, he wants to go make money here. If you can't manage the players, just say it, Nick Saban, because he couldn't do it in the NFL. Nick Saban could not do it in the NFL. He needs players to work under his own control. And managing people is not just saying, hey, look, I have soldiers who are going to listen to what I say. Managing people is understanding managing personalities, managing a locker room, being able to retain someone who's looking for more money, not because there's more money out there, mainly because you're a good person. So Nick Saban, where he's looking at, I don't know what my roster is, be a person, be a good coach. Being a good coach will help you 10 times more than just, okay, I want players who are going to just listen to what I say. Right? And if you see the evolution, Bill Belichick couldn't do it. Right? When we see evolve, coaching takes a lot of investment into the people. Buy into our program. Look, I'll buy into the program. Or you can say, hey, look, buy into our program, but listen, I don't know better than you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you what I know. The mentality of a lot of coaches is I know better than you. So therefore, listen to what I say. Nick Saban, he doesn't know where these guys come from. Well, Nick Saban's from West Virginia. Listen. He has made a living, just like Bear Bryant did at Alabama. They have made a living of stealing players from Florida. Bear Bryant stole players from HBCUs. He was the first one to do it at Alabama. That's why he was so successful as a coach. Not because I don't think he was a great coach, because he was taking players from HBCUs and offering them money. This is the same thing Nick Saban did. He makes money off the people who are trying to feed their families. So he sits in their house and says, you buy into our program. Look, we develop, I'll be a better man, and make it to the league, etc. Great. But now when you start managing that, when guys start leaving, let them leave. Trust in who you are. But for him to go on Capitol Hill after going on Capitol Hill and then sit here and lobby, and we've seen it. Look at Tommy Tuberville. Right? We've seen these guys forget who they are. And I tweeted this. I said, Nick Saban is about to show his true colors. But to think that NIL is killing football because you don't know how to manage a roster, that's on you, bro. And at the same time, you benefited from this before everyone else did. So, and other schools are paying athletes as well too. So it wasn't just Alabama. Other schools are doing it as well too. But for Nick Saban to go on Capitol Hill and talk about the NIL, the NIL is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's going to happen regardless. And players should get paid for a name and likeness, especially if they're going into a game and they see someone with their jersey on and they're not getting those proceeds. If Capitol Hill, if Congress, if they can invest in the companies and regulate and make laws Why can't players, make money off the name and likenesses? If Congress can sit there, regulate, make laws, vote on bills, but players can't make money off their name and likeness, then that's just insane. So I go on to say that I'm disappointed in Nick Saban, right? Still a great coach. I think he developed and did a lot for players. But at the same time, to talk about, here's why NIL is just showing. No. Talk about the NCAA playing. NCAA makes money off these players so much. The amount of revenue. And it's not just about, every player needs to get played. It's about the amount of revenue that athletics brings in to cities, regions, this nation. What players are getting compensated for is not represented or equal to that. And for you to get mad at a player saying, I don't want to play at Alabama because my talent's good enough, and then wherever I play, right, wherever I play, I can do well, I can bring XYZ to your program, and you got a problem with it, then so be it. Leave. Go. Retire. So, I just going to say that, this idea of NIL comes from control. And I talked about the NFL, and I talked about this. I said the same people. The main people that are complaining about the NFL, that don't like the NFL, the players wanting money, etc., blah, blah, this, that, are conservative Republicans who don't like seeing black people get money. Plain and simple. And now that it's starting to trickle down to college football, which was so sacred to white people, because black players are playing for the fun of it, the will of it, the NIL is trickling down to it. They're getting mad and trying to sustain the control that has happened in college football for so long. It's changing. People are getting paid for their worth, and we have to realize that. And for me to get upset because somebody wants to play somewhere else, this is their decision, is completely selfish, and me continuing to suppress what has been happening for years and years to come. This is it, plain and simple. Why do you think there's such a divide? If you ask a lot of people who are conservative Republican, they don't like the fact that NFL players are getting money, so they watch college football because the players are playing for the will of it. But now the majority black college football players are getting money. They're getting mad because they feel they're not playing for the love of the game. They are. They just want to get paid for what they feel they want to get paid for. At the same time, what they're going to bring into a franchise is going to be insurmountable. Insurmountable. Or, not a franchise, to a dynasty or to a school, it's going to be insurmountable. It's the same reason why there's a minimum wage gap in America. I'll talk about that later. But all this NIL nonsense that Nick Saban's talking, man, just ball it up, throw it out the door. He can go on Capitol Hill all he wants. Just retire, go in a little bubble, do whatever you want to do. But your good name is starting to be tampered with. To be honest with you. So it is what it is. I just want to get it off my chest for being an Alabama fan so long. I was so upset to see Nick Saban up there and just talk about NIL. It's insane to me. All right, guys. Hey, look, that's it for ChechMe. You guys, I'm out. Take care.